Hey guys, Tiger here, and today I want to talk about the opposite of love. I've made a lot of videos about love, acceptance, things of that nature, but to understand love and why we need to love, we also need to understand the definition of hate and where hate comes from, which also causes extremism. I'll read you a definition from Wikipedia. It says, quote, hatred is an intense negative emotional response towards certain people, things, or ideas, usually related to opposition or revulsion toward something. Hatred is often associated with intense feelings of anger, contempt, and disgust. Hatred is sometimes seen as the opposite of love. And this is so true. And I want to give you a definition, which I didn't really before, of extremism. And extremism, or extremist, a person who holds extreme or fanatical political or religious views, especially one who resorts to or advocates extreme action. A lot of extremists show hatred because they don't like the world around them. They don't like accepting black people or Oriental people or any Middle Eastern, anybody that's not white. But then on the other hand, in these other cultures, they don't accept things outside their norm. So basically, if you're different than the norm, you're usually not accepted. LGBTQ all around the world is being shown hatred, and it's sad that in some countries LGBTQ is being jailed or even put to death because of just being who they are. And this is fueled by hatred. Hatred comes from fear, I think. Fear of the unknown, fear of different, fear that different wants to change you. Instead of us being able to just get along and accept each other and coexist, we have to hate. And I think we've all been guilty of that in one sense or another. I want to read you an excerpt from a GW program on extremism, and this is about domestic extremism here in the U.S. Over the last several years, the threat posed by white supremacists, accelerationists, the militia movement, and other extremists has surged. Today, the landscape of domestic extremism in America has metastasized from attacks on synagogues and black churches to the siege against America's democracy on January the 6th. These threats continue to expand and evolve. And all this is fueled by fear, which leads to hate, which leads to anger. And people take that anger and act out. They get violent. And people get hurt. People die. And not everybody's like that. You have some groups that are doing what they do out of concern and compassion, but they still take it to the extreme. Examples being animal rights activist groups, for which some sadly have resorted to violence or destruction. You have Black Lives Matter, which for the most part is very peaceful, but you still have folks within that try to come and stir things up and create violence out of that. We've seen that. You have groups that are all about saving our planet. And again, I would say 99% of these groups are peaceful. But you have the extreme, which can resort to violence or destruction, vandalism, and all of that comes from fear. So hate comes from fear. Fear of the unknown, like I said, fear of that somebody's going to try to change you into something you don't want to be, which is not the case. I don't want to try to turn straight people gay, because you don't turn LGBTQ, you're born that way. I don't want to force people to practice a certain religion, because God gave us the freedom of religion, the freedom to worship as we feel inside of us. And that's why you have so many different religious groups, religious organizations, and people should have the right to plug in to that where they feel most comfortable, and people also have the right to not practice religion at all. God gave us the right to choose what we want to do with our lives. I don't want to turn a white person black or Asian or Latino or Middle Eastern because you're born the way you are. We're all born into our skin, into who we are. We don't choose white, black, yellow, purple, green, orange, polka dot. We don't choose that. That's already chosen for us. And we have to take what we are and learn to coexist, to get along, to share, but don't force. Love and not fear, which leads to hate, which can lead to violence. So it's a vicious circle. Because people think they're going to have to change if they accept black people or Asian people or Middle Eastern or Latino or LGBTQ. And you don't. You are who you are. So to understand hate and where it comes from, to take a look at yourself and analyze why you hate something, leads to learning how to love, learning how to live and let live, learning how to accept, learning how to bring peace to our planet. So think about it. Think about why you hate and how to undo that. I love you. God loves you.